Hi everyone, Clipsy here with a little sketchbook tour, or rather, half a sketchbook tour. I've had this old thing since apparently 2019, but at some point I put it down and completely forgot about it until a few years later, where I was flipping through it and realized I only filled about half of this thing. So, somewhere around halfway through 2022, I decided to pick this sketchbook back up and fill the second half of it. So this became the sketchbook that I carried around with me every day and doodled in when I was bored or had just some extra time to kill. And I finished this sketchbook in late November 2023, so that kind of goes to show you how little I've gotten to draw these past couple years. But here's our header page to kind of transition between 2019 and 2022. And I did it with a bold red Sharpie. And it's nothing crazy or fancy, just a little doodle to break up the times. Now, I don't usually date my sketchbooks, but what I've found is that when I'm flipping through old sketchbooks, trying to bring back up memories or compare my old art to my new art, I often can't figure out when I drew drawings, even if I remember drawing them. And so it takes a lot of mentally thinking through when did I create this, and it can be a little bit frustrating. So recently I've started dating all or most of my sketchbook pages, so I have at least a general time frame of when everything was created. And this first page is just little sketches of my character Tomoko. She's a raccoon, and I guess this was just kind of to get me back into sketching again, because I, as I mentioned, didn't have a lot of time to sketch these past couple years, so I hadn't really been doing it all the time. And I also learned that I really like the way pen works in this sketchbook more than pencil, so I ended up using mostly pens for this sketchbook and didn't draw a lot in pencil, which is also a really good practicing technique because it really helps you get those lines bold, strong, fluid. It's really good practice. I recommend it. So this is my red panda, and again, just some random little doodles for fun there. This is one of my many unfinished pages. So this is Benjamin, or Benny. He's kind of my go-to OC to doodle, and obviously I didn't fill in this page. He tends to be the I have no idea what to draw, or I'm not really in a mood to draw but I want to practice, and I just kind of doodle him, and then he ends up on a lot of unfinished pages because I don't really have a lot of thoughts in my brain. Only him, I guess. This is my rat OC I made more recently. By recently, I mean, I guess, 2 years ago. And he doesn't have a name yet because I'm pretty undecisive when it comes to names. But I was really inspired by techwear fashion, and I wanted an excuse to draw, ridiculous details, ties and buckles and all that stuff that's in techwear, so I kind of made him as an excuse to draw that kind of fashion because I didn't really have a character who would really suit this kind of style before. And he's just a lot of fun to draw. He kind of has that gremlin energy, so you'll see him pop up quite a few times in this sketchbook. And this was someone else's OC. I don't remember their name, but I was doing an art trade kind of thing with a group, and the idea was to design them a new outfit, I believe. So this was their original outfit. I was kind of practicing drawing them before giving them a new outfit. There's Jolt and his dad. These were kind of practice sketches. I've never quite figured out how to do the profile like this, so every now and then I practice it, usually on Jolt for some reason. And I haven't gotten it perfect yet, but I think I've been improving. And of course, I love this little doodle of him eating lollipops. He acts really cool and serious most of the time, but he has a kind of childish love of sweets. And more of Jolt and his dad and their butler, Elias. I love him, he's adorable. And I guess more practicing of that profile. I think the head shape is just not quite round enough yet. And more of that rat. As I mentioned, he has perfect gremlin energy and really fun to doodle in a goofy way. He might have been my muse of 2022 and 2023. See, here he is again, and this was using a pen and highlighter that I got from a friend in kind of like a care package sort of thing. So I wanted an excuse to kind of use them together and see how they looked. So that was the bright orange pen and green highlighter. And it's just fun to draw him with different colors. Also, he is an artist. He paints and he creates graffiti art. Maybe not legally. And there is more of his absolute gremlin energy. He's a lot of fun to draw. Benny and Flair. These two are pretty much best friends. And I don't know, it's just fun drawing them being sweet and soft together. Benny is just always a soft boy, and Flair is very much not. He tries way too hard to be cool. So it's kind of fun seeing him like dropping that facade and being a little more sweet. And there's another doodle of Flair. I wanted to challenge myself with this kind of position where he's sitting backwards in the chair. I think the leg ended up being kind of funky, that distance doesn't make sense, but besides that, I mean, I did this with pen, so I couldn't exactly erase mistakes. And I think it looks pretty decent still. Of course, he's drinking a Starbucks because he's obsessed with coffee. And this one, I sketched this out in the library at school when someone was playing the big piano that's in the library, and it was just like kind of peaceful and relaxing. So I tried to kind of capture that energy in this one, but I didn't like the way the body came out. I actually think when I drew it, I thought it was worse than it actually is, but I wanted to kind of draw attention away from it by making this kind of light source there. Maybe I can imitate it with the light coming through the window here. There. So I wanted to draw attention to the face because I thought that came out better than the body. But there's Jolt being cool. We've got a little bit of a mix of things here. This is Quincy. He's a vampire hunter, being pouty as he usually is. And more Jolt here. He's eating a lemon here and shocking Flair with how easily he can eat it without flinching. And this character, she also doesn't have a name, but she also has a very loose story. I actually created her for an Inktober challenge. There's another character who's very like Halloween inspired, like kind of a fae or like monster from the woods kind of thing. And he meets this girl and ends up making friends with her, and like that's the basic storyline there, is like he's this scary like urban legend that lives in the woods and nobody interacts with except this girl who's not really afraid of him. And the idea was to do like visual storytelling with the Inktober prompts each day, and I never finished it. But I do have this character design. This was actually a bit of a redesign of her. I wanted to make her a little more interesting because I was thinking about returning to that idea. And I might still add to it during Inktober's. I pretty much only draw these characters during October because they just put me in the spoopy, Halloween-y mood. And this is Auburn. And I guess this was the year that I created him, that these were drawn in. He's actually based on a teddy bear, which I think I have right here. So he's a Build-A-Bear with a jack-o'-lantern face. And I got him in 2022 as kind of a fun little outing with my college roommate that I met that year. So that was like a bonding moment for us. And then I named him Auburn and created this character based on him because I have like this set of characters that are based on stuffed animals that I own. And they kind of have their own story. He's just a mischievous little kid who skips school and goes to the library to read instead. So he's kind of fun because he's, you know, a little bit rebellious, a little bit gremlin, but then he just wants to read and learn. So he's a cute kid. Another unfinished page of Mittens with a pink pen. I think this pen just makes me think of him because it kind of suits his colors. He's got like a black and pink color scheme. And I love the way these colored pens look in sketches like this. This was a failure. I tried to do an interesting face positioning and then it came out completely wrong. Oh, and here is the first set of drawings on the wrong page. You may have noticed I tend to only draw on one page because usually I draw with pencil and it smudges on the other page. And in addition to that, I don't like being able to see the drawing on the other side of the page. I like my drawings to be clear and clean, so I don't like it when there's like a little bit of like pen peeking through, so it's almost like two drawings on one page on top of each other. So usually I don't draw on the second page here, but I decided these pages are thick enough and the pen was light enough that, you know, I could at least cover some of these pages with doodles. So this is Mittens again with his little boy Caden, who's like 4 years old and adorable. Francis from my webtoon comic, and Little Pal. Now this is a comic that I made years ago and I haven't actually finished it. I'll kind of slowly get around to it. I update it every now and then, but I had been updating it like every other week or something and doing it pretty regularly for a couple years, and then I had technical difficulties and life get in the way, but that's still a comic I want to finish someday, and these are the main characters from that comic. And here we have the beginning of what I drew in 2023. Apparently this was drawn on 1/23/23. It's interesting. And this is Flair and Tamako again. I just love drawing them in like goofy little comics and things because they're just silly and fun. So there's that. Not much else to say about that. Oh, and this is someone else's OC again. I think they have a few different usernames, so I'm not sure which one to use, but I'll put their Instagram up on the screen. And I don't remember the context for this, but basically I designed him a pair of pajamas with rats on it because we called him a rat quite a bit. Oh, and this was a character that was randomly in a dream of mine. Sometimes I just have dreams about characters who don't exist, and then they kind of stick in my head. And sometimes I draw them out and don't usually do much of anything with them, but he was an ice skater, and I don't really remember anything about him, but yeah. There's him. Another unfinished page. And this was actually done with my Erase Prismacolor pencil, which is great for sketching, especially if you're going to ink over it afterwards. Very pleasing to use with the soft color. And this is Sebastian, or Sebi, another one of my characters based on a stuffed animal. And there he is with Pepsi, or Shiro is his real name, but Sebi calls him Pepsi. It's a long story. And he's also based on a stuffed animal I have. Another page of Benjamin's because as I said, he's my go-to to doodle. He's just always cute. Two of my favorite girls, Tamako again and Litzy, which is her best friend. And I don't draw her nearly often enough. I think I'm getting into a bit of a phase with her where I just want to draw her all the time, so maybe this year, 2024, you'll see more of her. But there they are, chillin'. And there's Litzy again. And this is Jun, who's Mitten's roommate. So you may notice a lot of these characters are tied together. Most of them are from the same story, but some of them are not. And this is Leon, who is a part of like kind of a dark like emo boy band. And he's a German Shepherd, and he looks really intimidating on the outside, but in reality he's just always nervous. There's another member of the band. This one's Bruno, who's a bulldog. And this character doesn't have a name yet, but she's a part of their story. I kind of added in more recently, and she's really cute too. And this here, I was attempting to design her parents. I'm not certain I'm happy with their designs yet. I think this is closer to what I've gone with for them. And if I remember correctly, her mom is supposed to be like a dachshund, and then her dad is like, I don't remember, a Rottweiler or something. It's a very odd mix. There's Flair and Tamako again. Kind of another odd position to draw, so it didn't come out perfect, but not terrible. Again, the dog parents, or an attempt to figure out what they look like. She's very feisty, and he's more calm and collected. And more of the boy band boys. This one is Rory, who's a husky, and he's the drummer, so he's kind of the crazy one of the bunch, except he's just a sweetheart who just loves everyone. And Bruno's the grumpy one, obviously. Let's see Tamako and Flair being a cute little trio together. And another unfinished page. This one didn't even get to be a person. I think I had started this and had no idea who I wanted it to be, and so I gave up thinking and just never finished it, or something along those lines. And this is Benny's mom, Abigail. She's a very cute, a little bit sassy, but also very sweet. And this one is a mix of different characters who don't usually interact. Each of these characters are actually from a different story, so they don't actually interact in canon at all. But there's Sebastian, my rat, who currently doesn't have a name, little Benny. And I guess this was just like hanging around campus, being bored, and feeling like doodling something, but not one specific something, so it ended up being a lot of somethings. I love this little Sebastian here. That might be my favorite. Another very unfinished page with Francis and Pal. I haven't gotten very good at drawing them in this style because in their comic they're very chibi, and I kind of designed them as chibis, so I can never make them look quite right in like a regular style, and I think that's why I don't end up drawing them or finishing drawing them that often. But this page, obviously, I did not get far in. This was actually based on a ladybug that I saw that had one very big kind of flower-shaped spot, and I thought it was really cool, and I actually wanted to take a picture of it, but then it disappeared and I didn't see it. And this guy was based on a guy I saw on the bus. And I think I wanted to fill the rest of this page with other interesting things that I saw throughout the day, but I don't usually really draw things that I see out and about. I draw like fictional characters for the most part, so that never really works out that well when I attempt to do that. There's more Litzy and the rat, which she also doesn't really interact with in canon, but I just wanted to draw the little rodents together. And that's Litzy's brother, Jesse. He's a silly little kid. She's like the big sister, looks after him, and he's in that rebellious phase where like loving your family is not cool. More Leon and Mittens. Mittens is actually a huge fan of their band, so he interacts with them as a fan and like trying to kind of befriend them because he's also a music artist and he kind of wants to like make art, like musical friends and all that stuff, but he's a little bit odd to them because he's just kind of a fluffy, energetic baby. Oh, and there's his bed head. Just gotten up out of bed. Adorable. And these were another attempt at a character design. They were related to the boy band characters. I believe this is supposed to be like their future kids, but I'm not 100% on their designs yet, and I don't know if they'll ever show up in the actual story. Because again, they are like from the future. So this one was supposed to be Rory's son, and then this one was supposed to be Bruno's daughter. Or something along those lines. And there's more of them. Yes. These are my sea creature characters who I've been redesigning in videos. So we've got the squid here, we've got our starfish, sea cucumber, and I don't really ever draw these characters, and I didn't even really draw them when I designed them. I kind of just made them as a design series. So I kind of wanted to see what they would be like interacting and doodle them a bit more, just for fun. And I have some ideas for some drawings I might make of them later on too. Here's more of Litzy and Tamako, kind of designing some little cute dresses for them. Litzy is so much fun to design outfits for because she has a very soft, frilly, feminine style. It's just a lot of fun to draw. And Tama is a bit of a tomboy, so she wears pretty dresses, but definitely not as frilly, and she always wears sneakers with them. I believe this character's name is Clarence. I might be getting that wrong. I haven't drawn him in a long time. But he's a little cat, and he has a friend Peanut Butter who's a dog, and I kind of had like an illustration series for them where they'd just be going on different adventures, more kind of like visual storytelling kind of a thing. And that's something I think I want to make more of in the future, but I kind of have to practice his design too because I'm never 100% sure how to draw him. I don't really draw animals much, so it's a work in progress, but he's cute. And this is Ayumu, or Ayu, as I usually call him, and he is a albino bumblebee bat. He's kind of a Halloween-y themed character. He goes along with the vampire hunter and a vampire that you might see in here at some point. I'm not quite sure. But he's just very, very cute and has kind of like that cute, spoopy vibe to him, which is such a fun aesthetic to draw. And there's more of him in a darker pen. I believe this was a calligraphy pen that I used for this, so there's a lot more line weight variation to the lines, and it's very bold, and I was having fun with that kind of look. And this is my koi fish OC. I don't draw him very often because I don't have a very defined story for him, but he has a story with a little shark boy that I also have. He's just very pretty and fun to draw. A bunch of doodles with another pen. This is actually my favorite calligraphy pen that I used for these ones, and I really enjoyed the way that these sketches look with this pen. Just the way the lines come out, the boldness of it, the thickness. I just think it ended up looking really nice. And I've been learning Japanese, so every now and then I flex my tiny bit of Japanese knowledge with like a little doodle, little bit of Japanese on my pages. Another unfinished Benny page. He's so cute in this little one. Almost looks like a little rag doll. Yes, this was October, so I was pulling out my spoopy OCs again. This is the character I mentioned earlier, who I only draw in October and is supposed to be kind of like an urban legend, like spooky guy. He's not scary, just kind of like fun, cute, scary, but that's perfect. That's exactly how I like him. And more Mittens, Bruno, little Halloween guy again, and Kai, who is a character from my webcomic I mentioned. And he's a fun, high gremlin energy character. I don't draw him often anymore, but I love him. He's one of my favorites, at least from that comic series. Yes, and there's another little Kai and my Kitsune character, who was inspired by Harajuku fashion. And he's very fun to draw as well. He's got so many little details, which is simplified in this little chibi version, so you don't necessarily get to see them all, but it's just fun to draw all his details and his very stylized hair and everything. And here's more of Bruno and that girl that doesn't yet have a name. And they're pretty cute. He doesn't smile often, so it's fun to see him goofing around, having a good time and smiling. He usually has a grumpy, pouty look like this. Oh, and more Tamako. I wanted to play around with fashion a bit, so I've been watching like fashion YouTubers and like thrifting hauls and stuff, and been kind of inspired by the kind of crazy fashions that the styles that some of these people have are very unconventional, and they don't follow what's like considered fashionable so much as just what's fun to them. And I was kind of inspired by that to make something that's kind of just like loose, flowy, and comfortable looking, and kind of like a more unique style. So there's that with her chunky shoes. And they do a lot of this kind of layering in those kinds of videos I've been watching. And then there's this that's just very comfy looking. But this one's definitely my favorite of the two of these. And another character design. Now this is a character for this rat story who I've had the idea for a long time but never actually designed. So I decided to give it a go and try and come up with something for her. I believe these were the first sketches I did for her. And then these ones were after that. And this one still I think is my favorite. She's just super, super cute in this one. But I also love this one in the middle here. I think that one's also very cute, and I love her high ponytail there. And then there's more on this side. I think this one's a little closer to what I ended up going for, but I did put her goggles on her head, like this one on the side over here. And I wanted something that was like cute and fun, but still had a bit of the style of the rat character to kind of carry that over and make her fit in with the story and all. And that, I believe, was the finalized design. I might mess with her a little more at some point, but I think she came out kind of cute. There's another Benny over here just chilling on the wrong page. And another big page of doodles here. We have a Jolt, another Jolt, some Bennies, and this is Flair and his dad, and then Flair and Benny's parents here. They're friends thanks to their kids. We're almost at the end here. So there's Flair's dad again. I'm always trying to figure out how to draw him correctly. He always looks a little too young, and I think, you know, looking young for his age is perfect because it kind of it kind of runs in their blood. Like, Flair's a very pretty boy, so it makes sense his dad would be a pretty man, but he just looks very young, a little too young to have a teenage son, so always practicing him. Well, not always practicing him, but I need to practice him more. More Leon. Tried my hand at drawing his bass. I'm not very good at instruments, but I think this one came out okay. And there he is, just being cute and awkward. Pinning his hair up, sticking his tongue out. I think these are his pajamas, so he must have just woken up there. And the last page, that's me. I thought that was a good closer for the sketchbook. And I'm actually pretty happy with this one still. I think this came out pretty cute. And there's the end of the cover, dated November 26, 2023. And there's Bob and Stella Luna signing out the sketchbook. So there is my 2022 to 2023 just daily doodle sketchbook. I hope you enjoyed coming along with me and seeing the kind of things that I like to sketch throughout the day. And I'm working on my next sketchbook right now that I'm filling up a little bit faster. So once that one's finished, I'll probably do a little sketchbook tour of that one too. So look forward to seeing it in the future. And let me know if you'd like to see any of my older sketchbooks. See some of my cringy old art. And maybe that's something we can do together too. I hope you enjoyed this. Have a fantastic rest of your day. And thanks for stopping by my comfy little bear cave. See ya!